I'm Jennifer Della Quadri, and this is Subtle Shifts, the podcast where you'll learn how to transform your life from the inside out, one small, meaningful shift at a time. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the podcast. Can you believe it's already back to school time? I feel like the summer flew by, and I feel like every year I'm like blown away that school is already starting. Some of you are probably already back into the school year, and that's why this episode timing couldn't be better, because I know how stressful the beginning of the school year can be. I recently posted an Instagram reel, and it had to do with how summertime parents are different than school year parents. Because over the summer, it's a lot more loosey-goosey. Easier flowing, schedules are loose. There's not as much pressure. You don't have homework, all these obligations, sports, etc. And so it's a little more relaxed. And then when the school year comes, it's like, oh, here we go again. So this episode is going to help you make sure this transition is as seamless as possible, because if you are a high achiever like me, you tend to get burnt out in the fall, especially at the very beginning when everything starts to pick up. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you some strategies to help you reclaim your time so that you can be more calm and balanced despite all of the things that you are juggling. Now, there are a couple of reasons why this time of year feels so stressful. You may look around and you may think, so-and-so doesn't seem so stressed, or they seem to have all their stuff together. And that's because high achievers tend to put more on their plate. One of the things that really comes up too is this time of the year, just the transition itself can be very jarring. That's one of the number one reasons why back to school season can feel so stressful. It's because there's that transition from things are pretty calm to all of a sudden you've got all these schedules, and the schedules might be different than they were. So not only are you transitioning from a very calm and relaxed summer, you're transitioning from whatever the school year was last year. And on top of that, you might also have some expectations for things that are going to be stressful because they were last year. Maybe, you struggle with the homework battle or even school attendance, and you know that this is going to come up, or you assume that this is going to come up, and it's like you're bracing yourself. You're getting ready for this roller coaster ride that you feel like is getting ready to happen. And it's really a lot to handle all at once. And then even if it's a good thing, even if you're happy with where your kids are at school, even if you're happy with your work and the schedule, it still can feel like a lot. It can just feel like a little more overwhelming than it was in the summer. On top of that, there is this pressure to do it all perfectly and do it all well and have it all look like you've got your stuff together. And that includes all of the things, prepping the lunches, going through all that school paperwork. I mean, the hours and hours and hours of filling it all out and making sure it's all in on time. There's meetings, back to school nights. There's your own personal goals that you're already working on. I know for me in the past, when I was full-time teaching and when I was in the classroom, back to school time was not only back to school for my kids, it was back to school for me. So I had all these welcome back staff meetings. I had a bunch of new students that I was welcoming into the classroom, maybe changing grades or even changing schools. So work was really picking up. And on top of that, my kids are going to their school and all of the things that come along with that, and keeping up with the things that I want to keep up with in my health and wellness, in my relationships, in my friendships. And it really did take a toll. And the fact that the perfectionism that comes in, I didn't have to do all the things that I did, but I put pressure on myself to do them. I didn't have to pack all of the lunches. I could have asked my husband to help me with that, but I wanted to do it. I didn't have to volunteer in the classroom, but I wanted to. I didn't have to be a room mom, but I wanted to. I didn't have to be a Girl Scout leader. I didn't have to volunteer for the charity organization, but I wanted to. I enjoyed it, but I also had that inner voice that was saying, if you don't do this, then you're letting people down, or you can't handle it all. You don't have it all together. And so From the outside, things really looked like polished, like, wow, you've got it all together, but it was really stressful. And that's the perfectionism coming in. I'm planning on doing another podcast episode on perfectionism coming up, so stay tuned for that. But that is one of the main reasons why back to school can feel so stressful, especially if you like things to be really perfect or run really smoothly. And also the thing that can happen is that stress accumulates. So I like to think I have this analogy of a stress bucket. So imagine you wake up and you start the day and you have a certain level of stress. And in these busy seasons, your stress bucket might already be about halfway full. Then you start the day and you've got people asking you for things. You're going to work and you've got, projects and you've got deadlines and you've got meetings and calls. And then you go home and you've got dinner to make and all of the paperwork to fill out. Your stress bucket was already halfway full when you woke up. And then all of these things come out and happen, and maybe some unexpected stuff. It's going to overflow. So it accumulates over time. Not every day is like, oh, I'm waking up completely fresh and brand new. And also on top of that, if your stress is accumulating, you are going to be more tired. You're going to be more irritable. It's going to be harder for you to focus and plan things. Maybe you'll put things off. There might be tension in relationships. So there's a lot of things that can go on in addition to the fact that this is the beginning of a new school year and there are new schedules and routines happening. And I'm going to share with you some of the common mistakes that high achievers like myself, and maybe you can relate, tend to make during this busy season. Number one is just overscheduling. It's like trying to fit too much in at once. And it feels like everything is an emergency. It feels like everything needs to be done, especially if your kids are in extracurricular activities in addition to the school schedule, or maybe like me, you on top of your job, you were also volunteering for something, or you had something outside of your job that you were doing. Being overscheduled and trying to plug it all in because you feel like you should be able to handle it or you don't want to let people down can be a really big trap to fall into, especially in September when things are still kind of new. Another really common mistake is skipping those personal recovery routines that have worked for you in the past. So if you think about it, when you have, for example, like a really busy season, maybe at work or just in your personal life, and it's hard to fit that in. But at the same time, if you don't fit it in, it's harder for you to be at your best for the things that you really prioritize and that are important. And so things are so busy, it's like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and like skip that for now because I just don't have time. Like not exercising, not getting enough sleep, not having enough downtime where you're refilling your cup because you're so busy. Another really common mistake is not setting boundaries around your time. These are all things that I've covered in the past in the podcast, but I have some really new and fresh episodes coming up that are going to address all of these. So as you hear these mistakes, if you're like, yeah, I tend to do that, know that there's more help along the way, and I'm here for you. But saying yes to everything, this is my thing. This was my thing. I can happily say this was my thing, saying yes to everything because I didn't want to let anyone down. I wanted to be everything to everyone all of the time. And that was for it was a personal sacrifice. And I wasn't able to be the person that I wanted to be because I was trying to be everything for everyone. So not setting boundaries at work, not setting boundaries at home or in your personal life, and just saying yes to everything is going to really max you out and burn you out. And the fourth final common mistake is just ignoring your own emotional cues. So not noticing that the stress and tension are rising, or just setting it on the back burner and thinking, I'll deal with that later, or it'll go away on its own, or things will calm down soon, and just pushing through. That's where it all can just kind of snowball until you just crash and burn and you are in a full-on burnout mode. So now I'm going to give you some really great strategies to help you stay balanced during this busy season, specifically beginning of the school year. I'll share with you 6 things that you can do. And you know me, short, sweet, to the point. I like to make it easy and simple. So listen to this list and think, what is it that I could implement today? Don't just listen to this episode and think, well, that was really great information. I'm so glad that I spent that time listening. Actually listen and decide in your head, what of these 6 things can I do? Will I commit to doing during this busy time of year? The first one is to plan your week intentionally. The Sunday reset is a really great time to do that, to sit down, look at your schedule, and prioritize what really matters. In next week's episode, I'm going to dive a little deeper into how to actually do that, but you can go ahead and get started with it right away. You just look at your calendar. What's on there? What is it that is essential? And what could be skirted off to the side for this time, just when things are really busy? And also, when you're planning your week, not just planning the obligations and the routines and the schedules, but also planning the breaks, planning that downtime, the time where you're actually going to be able to fill your cup, and creating space for other people that you care about to do the same thing. Having a master calendar is really helpful here. So if you have one of those in your home or something that everyone can access, that way you're not the one in charge of informing everyone of the days of events all of the time. One less thing to drain your energy, just something posted, easy to see, easy to find. If you're like me, you like to color coordinate. Everybody has their own color, so everybody knows what they're doing, and you can easily see in one snapshot what's happening in the week. So planning that week intentionally. The second thing you can do is create transition rituals. This is super simple. All you're doing here is when you're transitioning from one thing to the next, instead of just going from here to there and just I'm automatically there, to pause. And that might look like when you get home from work, having a time frame where nobody can ask you for anything for 5 minutes, just to get yourself unpacked, get everything put away, and kind of take a breath before you are on call for homework duty or snack duty or whatever anybody is needing you for. That's a transition time. Another really great transition time is when you first wake up. Instead of getting up, looking at your phone, hopping in the shower, immediately going into breakfast mode and all of that, the chaos, you stop, you wake up, give yourself a 10-minute buffer. Maybe that's sitting in meditation or journaling or taking a few deep breaths before you get going on your day. So really embed these transition rituals. One thing I used to do when I had a full-time job was when I would go into the classroom and teaching, I would arrive at school in my car, and you can do this when you arrive at work. Instead of just, I park my car, grab my stuff, and go on in, park your car, set your phone timer for a minute, just stop, breathe a couple of breaths, set an intention for this next transition that you're going into. All of these transition rituals add up throughout the day. Even going from, say, your desk to a meeting, you get up, as you transfer through the door, you just pause for a second. And when I'm entering this meeting, this is my intention for where I'm going. It helps you check in and get present with the moment, and also just become a little more aware of how you're showing up. It can make a world of difference. The third one is to set boundaries to protect your time. I talked about that when I was talking about the mistakes, is that when you don't have boundaries, you can really get zapped of energy so quickly and so easily. So know when to say no, know when to delegate tasks when you can. Again, this is something I'll talk about more next week, is how to prioritize, how to ask for help, when to ask for help, who to ask for help, where to set boundaries and when. But that's a really great strategy to keep you from getting overwhelmed and overbooked. And then number 4 is to schedule in micro recovery habits. So that might mean a 5 to 10 minute walk after lunch, or taking a deep breathing break between meetings or between calls, short movement breaks, Just these micro, real quick, no more than 5 or 10 minutes to reset. Maybe hiding in the bathroom and just letting yourself center, right? Wherever you can find these moments, sometimes even just sitting at a stoplight. This is going to be my micro break. I'm not going to flip around with the music. This obviously is when you're in the car by yourself, or maybe when someone in the car is tapped into their AirPods or whatever. I'm just going to stop and I'm just going to breathe. Let that be a micro break, mini habit. Number 5 is, this is more of ingrained practices into your schedule, is to really make sure you have time for your stress relief practices, like the deeper ones. They might be journaling or creative expression or just little moments of connection or laughter, things that really help you feel grounded and centered, going to a yoga class, taking an exercise class, going for a hike with a friend. Make sure that you have those into your schedule and that you prioritize them. And the last one is to have emotional check-ins. Check in with how you're feeling. I've talked about the emotion wheel before. It's something you can just Google, an emotion wheel. It's a circular thing and it's got all of these emotions on it and they're color-coded and everything. It's really helpful to give you a visual of different emotions, because sometimes when you're asked, like, how are you feeling? You might not really know. Like, you're feeling something, but you can't really identify it. So it can be helpful just to look at an emotion wheel to help. But either way, to just pause and ask yourself how you're feeling. Acknowledge any feelings that are coming up as far as overwhelm or frustration, anxiety, instead of just ignoring it. And noticing it doesn't mean you're needing to fix it. It's just, I'm pausing right now and I'm recognizing that I feel really overwhelmed. One of my mentors says overwhelm is a choice. And that's really hard to hear when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I like to think that, gosh, I have like so many things going on at once. It's so hard to manage. But that's the mindset of it all, right? If I'm thinking of it that way, like it's so hard to manage, this is too much for me, it's going to cause me to feel stress and anxiety in my body. And if it's a choice, I can reframe how I look at it, right? But don't tell me that when I'm in the middle of an overwhelm episode, because I'm going to want to say, no, this is very real and this is very true. And I do have a lot going on. But just check in, take moments and just notice how you're feeling and take note of it. And to really get into this back to school season in as seamless as a way as possible, to really set yourself up and your whole family up for success and calm for this school year, just work on reframing what's happening. Noticing that taking breaks is not indulgent, it's necessary. Taking breaks gives you back your time. So reframe what it means to take a break, what recovery means, what saying no means, all of those things. Work on letting go of the perfectionism and really focus on what truly matters. Make sure you're clear on what your values are. And when your values are out of balance, your life is going to feel out of balance. So check in with your values, prioritize what's really important, and let the rest of it be okay. Not easy to say, not easy to do when you've got high standards for yourself. And then also just being compassionate with yourself, noticing that there might be a lot going on and you are doing the best that you can and you are doing all you can do. And sometimes that's a lot and that's okay. And also know that you don't have to do this all by yourself. When you're feeling overwhelmed, it can be really isolating and it can be something that gets you stuck in your head. And sometimes all it takes is just a quick sit down to help you really get clear and prioritize the things that really matter to you. And that's why I offer my 60-minute breakthrough session where you and I just sit down, we put it all out on the table, all of the obligations, all of the stressors. We whittle it down to the things that really matter to you so that you can be more present in your life, you can get more enjoyment in your life, and you can be more around for your family members. You can be calmer and feel more in control of the everyday experience. There's a link in the show notes to schedule your 60-minute session. I would love to see you on my calendar, and I'd love to support you through this. Just head down there, click on the link, and find a time that works for you. And also, if you find this episode to be helpful, I would love it if you would share it with a friend, subscribe to support the podcast. I love being able to get more great information into the hands of so many hardworking people. And I love to be here for you as a resource and an advisor and a friend. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me. If you're ready to take the next step in transforming your life, be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And if something resonated with you today, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts, tag me on social media, or leave a review to help others find the podcast. Remember, the smallest shifts can create the biggest transformations. I look forward to hearing from you.